you see Cordelia in S+. Your Cordelia is minus attack. Okay, whatever. I can't use this. You see Hinoka, you can't use it either. But maybe you have a plus attack Est, and maybe you have an able that you don't want to use, so you give her a Brave Lance, and she's already like a plus attack Est with a Brave Lance. It's gonna do some good damage. You can give her attack +3. You get a real cheap budget build, and for PvE content and to a certain extent in Arena, you can start investing into Est, and by the time Deathploy will eventually become available more widely, and then you can just put that on her, and then you will have this viable unit. Like long term, you can plan with Est. I don't think we are trying to mislead people here. Even in practice for free-to-play players, Est is not that bad of an investment. You're way more likely to have a plus attack natured Est than a Hinoka or a Cordelia. And among all these, like she's not hard. She's not that hard. You need a Brave Lance. You can get that from a Donald, or if you just randomly pull a 5-star Able, give her a Brave Plus. If you don't think you're gonna use that Able, and you don't need a Swordbreaker, you can just use her. Like I've seen people be like, yeah, my Hinoka is not that great, but I do have a plus attack Est. I'm gonna give Est Brave Lance Plus and Honed Flyers from Hinoka because I have a good one. And in the end, she's gonna perform better than my Hinoka would have. So why not?
It's the same argument with Cherish, right? Cherish is also not great out of the box. She does require Brave Axe and Deathblow, just like most of the other Lancers we just discussed. So it doesn't take away anything from her being in her position either.
I mean, the tier list nodes do that to a certain extent. The problem is we cannot like for every player, the tier list cannot really explain to you, like it cannot put the units in the context of your own resources, and that's why it's important for people to reach out to the community in the Discord or Reddit to ask about, well, I have this box, please help me build something. The tier list can't take into account what you have, and that's the unfortunate detail about this being a gacha game.
The list is for the maximum potential a character can reach in the metagame. That's literally what it is. And if you just don't happen to have those meta units or meta skills, the tier list itself is not going to change, because that doesn't change the fact that these units are effective for certain scenarios and why they're ranked that way. Sure, you don't have it, but that doesn't mean that it's not taking anything away from them, right? Like I saw this argument on Reddit nonstop, and just like, what does the availability have anything to do with the skill itself? I mean, it's in the game, it exists, people are using it. You may not be using it, but it's still being used, right?
I think part of this problem is also that people don't really look beyond S plus and S. Like, they see and are frustrated by Est because they don't have the tools to build her. Well, okay, there's also units like other units like Ike who come out of the box super ready. You don't need to invest anything in them. Hector. And if you don't have them, you can just look further down. You can build a Perry relatively easily. You can build a Lynn if you get her. There's like, I think there's like a 5-star bias. Like, for example, Bartra, nobody really cares about him, even though he's a fun unit. You can use him in Arena Assault. You can build him decently. There's Frederick for Horse Emblem. These are 3-star units. There's a lot of units on this list. You don't have to pick the ones that are hard to build. There's Donald, who comes super ready out of the box. There's Klein for archers if you get him. You don't have to. I'm not sure why the whole list is dismissed because of this one ranking that you can't build.
Do you think maybe you should have posted that tier list as a draft, and rather than just posting it and putting it on the wiki, you should have said, "Hey, does this look cool, guys?"
No, that's a bad idea.
No, that's a bad idea because they don't know our thought process.
Oh my goodness, that would just be such a bad idea, because it would push back so much everything. Oh my god, just thinking about it.
Have you seen the community tier list in the Discord?
No, I have not.
That's even besides the point. Just look at the amount of salt and toxic levels that is reached right now. If we ask for feedback, do you know how much people would be phoning in and saying, "Oh, this should be this and this should be that," and then people would be like, "Oh no, I don't agree with you. It needs to be this." You know?
Where would we draw the line when it's finished and we all agree this would never happen? It would never reach a consensus with everyone.
See, but the problem is the way you did it. It kind of looks like a circle jerk, where you echo chamber about defense ploy.
Defense ploy is legitimately a really, really good skill, like panic ploy, but we can't assume panic ploy for like all the high HP units because of matchups and whatnot. So we are not addressing panic ploy, but a ploy skill is really easy to activate and is really effective at what it does. And defense ploy is the best ploy except for panic ploy.
No, that's not my opinion, but see, it'd be a lot like if the mod team, like me and Check and Andis, we got together and we made our own tier list and then we just stickied it to the sub, and then we didn't then we kind of dismissed criticism and didn't explain, and then we didn't have write-ups for why things were, or if they weren't attached or on the same page. It'd be a lot like that.
Yeah, there's also not just beyond the notes, but we sat there. I literally sat like for 4 or 5 hours on the sub, responding to people's concerns. And well, the people that are actually like thinking clearly and commenting, I was responding to them seriously, and I was giving legitimate reasons of why we did this. It's not like we just did it and say, oh, like deal with it. That's not what we're doing.
This is not true at all.
Like, we can literally back up everything we've done. We have data, we have like information, and we've done the calcs, and we've even used them in battle. Like, I've used most of these builds myself personally. So like, I know I've already experienced them. It's not like we pulled this out of nowhere and just said, oh, we like Est, let's do this. Personally, I don't even like Est. I don't like any characters, really. I have no wife, no husband, no nothing, man.
Yeah, we are purely about the numbers and the matchups and the team support and what the criteria that we list. This is not we don't play favorites. If we see, I don't understand this echo chamber thing. We saw that this thing gets amazing numbers. It is easy to pull off. So we asked ourselves, hey, why not? Put this on S, try it out. It's amazing.
That's all it is, really.
Well, I hope that people listening in can gather that much from what you said here today.
I hope so, too. I sincerely hope so. Okay, so I guess I'll start. So the whole Julia and Sonya controversy that a lot of people are always like asking me about. In fact, a lot of people message me on Discord asking why is Sonya lower than Julia. Well, they're not that far apart in terms of what they can do, but in terms of like being a blue res tank, Julia is just better. Like, it's not really, you can't really argue that. Yes, Sonya does have more speed, but you have to look at the targets that they're actually fighting, right? So Sonya, who are we fighting? We're fighting Lind, Reinhardt, Owen, Corrin, and Delphia, right? These are the targets that you're mostly going to fight. Reinhardt is too slow anyways. They're both going to double him. And the other ones are all faster than Julia and Sonya anyways, and they're both going to double. So where does that extra speed really help, right? If you think about it. And then you look at the green mage matchups. They're in their own color, right? You look at Nino. Nino's going to double both of them, no problem, right? And when you get a plus speed Julia, she actually get a plus 4 boon. So Sonya can't double a plus speed Julia either. So again, where does that speed really help, right? Yes, she has more speed. What does it really do? And if you don't double, that's the thing. Sonya has to double to kill anything because you need to activate her tome. And she's not fast enough to activate most of that, right? So it really doesn't help her. And at least Julia has the effective against dragons, so she can kill Ninian, Noe, and Faye, no problem. And even Tiki to a certain extent. And because her tome also adds plus 2 res and plus 2 def when she's taking an attack, it also makes her a better tank as well. So that's where I'll end that on.
And she's stronger.
And she's got more HP.
Well, besides that.
It's important because she hits
she does have
margins.
more attack. She does have more attack.
I just did calcs yesterday, and she takes significantly less damage because she finishes opponents in the first hit that Sonya can't.
Yeah, she does. And a lot of people don't... I don't know why people don't put Moonbow on her, but if you put Moonbow on her, she pretty much cleans up any blue, like, no problem.
And there's a misconception about, like, people see higher speed and are immediately thinking, well, this is at least on par or better. But in this role of a passive mage tank, people I think are not quite aware just how fast the offensive mages get. Like Linde or Nino.
Like, if Sonya had over 32 speed, she would definitely be better, I would say. If she had over 32 on a base speed, that would actually make a difference. 31 is that middle speed that doesn't really do anything. It can't really double anybody, right? So it doesn't really help her if you actually look at the grand scheme of things.
And I think that's a good segue into Camus.
Yeah, you can take that one.
All right, so I personally run Camus on my cavalry team, and I give him a hone cavalry. No, I give him a fortify, and I give him a dual gold. So he turns into a total monster with 59 attack, 44 speed, 40 defense, and 26 resistance, like with Fury on. That is absolutely ridiculous, and I love it. But this list doesn't take that into consideration. This is why he's S tier on the emblem list. But if you use Camus outside Horse Emblem, he has a similar problem to Sonya. He has 33 speed, but he duels mages. I did a calc just today and last night. Like he still loses. He loses matchups against even red mages because he can't finish them in the first hit. So there are Tharjas. I think she needs an Erika buff. I'm not sure right now, but if she's buffed, he cannot. He doesn't survive. He just dies. There's also like against Linde, his matchup is bad, and against Greens, forget about it. Like he doesn't actually do his role that well unless he is cavalry buffed. Even if you give him infantry buffs, he still misses some key kills. And
I'm running essentially a full DC team, so I can talk about why he's also not that great. He has a really good weapon that everybody can say because Ike and Ryoma uses the same weapon just with another name. But the problem is his stats just don't support in what he wants to do.
Exactly.
He can kill maybe something like bows or can tank those, but that's probably all he does because his resistance is so low. He just can't tank mages as well. So half of the weapon is just going to waste.
For the job he has to do, it having 33 speed is just not enough, and we also have to consider that he can't have boon. He can't have 36 speed, so he's just going to have trouble not getting doubled.
Well, there's also the reason that red mages also are not very meta focused. You don't see a lot of red mages in the arena in general. It's mostly just flooded with green mages.
He loses to like even middling speed blue mages like May. So like when I did the calcs today, like it just reaffirmed my stance that Camus, if he's not horse buffed, he's just lacking. As weird as it sounds, he's lacking his speed stat is not that helpful to him. Similar to Sonya's case, and he only has 17 resistance. So for the job he's trying to do, he's actually like not that impressive. I mean, he's still A tier. A tier is pretty good, but he can't go into the tier with like Hinoka, like the flying brave lances. I just don't see that. Like he can't compete up there.
If Camus had less depth and more res, he would be so much better at what he's supposed to do.
The more speed isn't necessarily helpful when it's still not enough. This is people are sometimes bewildered when I tell them that, but in this case it is really true. And I've also seen the argument of like, why is Camus in the same tier as Perry but Ike is so high up, but Gray is like, where is he 2 tiers, 3 tiers lower? Right, there's like a huge difference between them, but there's no difference between Perry and Camus. But that is a really strange comparison because, like, first of all, we don't directly compare enemy and player face units. Perry is just amazing at what she does. She can have an attack boon. She can have 36, 33, or, I mean, go with the speed boon if you want. She does the job she's trying to do amazingly well. She's better than able, and yes, she can run defense ploy to get even more kills. So like she's the best next to Roderick. Roderick is a little bit more of a fire sweep user because he's weaker, but she's like the best mounted blue lance with a brave. She doesn't compete with anyone on a player face. She's extremely strong. But for Gray and Ike, like Ike also can have boons, his color is more relevant. He's